So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about what's happening in China to the Christian church in China. Now, you may have heard about this on the news at Christmas time because the BBC puts a puff piece on about the Christian church once a year and wants to talk about the plight of Christians somewhere, and it usually picks China because it fits with the narrative of the BBC to criticise China, rather than criticise the entire Islamic world where Christians have been persecuted, or criticise Burma where Christians have been persecuted. It usually lands on China and North Korea. But the persecution of Christians in China is a very real thing. Christians in China currently are being commanded by the government to take down the cross, that ancient symbol of our faith, that symbol which we Christians have used to represent us culturally speaking. And Christians that have refused to take down their cross have been receiving imprisonment sentences that have been extended to 10 to 14 years in prison for not taking down a cross. This is happening in China today. Compare that courage of our brothers and sisters in China with the compromised Church of England, whose bishops, who want to stay in with the liberal establishment, consistently compromise on basic Christian teaching so that they can have a nice article written about them in The Guardian or in The Times, or they get a nice interview on the BBC. Christians are being arrested in China for simply speaking about their faith. And what do the liberal virtue signalling, let's be tolerant of everybody brigade in the UK do about the persecution of Christians in China? Absolutely nothing. They have no voice for them. They have no speech for them. They are simply silent about them. And when you speak about them, the progressive militant, as you see here, tries to distract you from learning about what's happening to Christians in China. Christians in the West must be more vocal about criticising the Chinese government and about criticising the Communist Party for its persecution of Christians. And in North Korea, yes, JC. Christians must do more to reach out to the communists of China and to offer to them an alternative to the Communist Party. It is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that wherever communism has put down its boot upon a society, Christians have been persecuted. And the BBC and the Guardian and the liberal do-gooders are trying to tell you that communism is not a threat. It is not a danger. Don't feed the trolls, Chris. Chris, don't feed the trolls, Chris. Don't feed the trolls. If you give him attention, he'll talk more. Ignore him. Just ignore him. He's a troll. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that if I was to stand here with the flag of the Nazis, you would all be outraged? But if someone walks down the street with the flag of the communists that killed 100 million people, you are not outraged.
Why?
Why is it if I had a t-shirt with Joseph Goebbels on it, you would be outraged? But if someone walks down the street with a t-shirt celebrating Fidel Castro, a mass murderer, you're not outraged. Celebrations of communism should be met with the same disgust and outrage and villainy as any celebration of Nazism. Ladies and gentlemen, in 100 years, communism has killed between 100 and 130 million people. It is a savage ideology that places the individual at the behest of the ideology and sacrifices the human person, for the ideology. But did you know that in China there are more Christians than there are members of the Communist Party? Christianity is exploding in China. After the Sichuan earthquake that struck China, Christians dominated the response in every way, giving charity to those who were suffering at the hands of the earthquake and the incompetence of the communist government. And look at these communists, sympathizers, communist apologists. These communist apologists are as vile as Nazis. Christian response. The Christian response to the Sichuan government, to the Sichuan earthquake, was praised by the communist government. It was that good, ladies and gentlemen. We are told in scriptures to remember our brothers and sisters who languish in prison. There are Christians languishing in prison right now because of a communist government. Christians, we are called to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters around the world against trolls like this man, who, when they hear about the plight of millions of Christians, their response is to celebrate. The church has real enemies, and no one will defend the church unless Christians defend the church. So find your strength, O Christian. Oppose the communists. Oppose them in government. Oppose them in the civil service. Oppose them in culture. Oppose them in the media. Oppose them in the police force. Wherever the communists raise their heads, Christians must oppose them. I'm just finishing, then I'll take your question. I want to recommend a charity to you, ladies and gentlemen. A charity where you can support persecuted Christians. The charity is called Support China Aid. Support China Aid. If you want to help Chinese Christians.